Hey Run Junkies, welcome to Runners Without Limits TV. Now that Rundisney races have officially returned to in-person events, there is a lot to remember how to do. We learned a lot from Wine and Dine Half Marathon Weekend, and with Marathon Weekend coming up very soon, I thought I would run down some of the things we know right now before the digital guide comes out, which should be very soon. Actually, this information is based on the Rundisney website, link in the description, and on what we learned at Wine and Dine in November. In case you missed them, I will leave links to the race recaps in the cards above and to the podcast and blog recaps in the description. Now, as per the Rundisney website and our experience on course, races look a little different than they have in the past, but only slightly. Going into Wine and Dine, we had a lot of questions. And the expectation was that we might not see characters at all, that the expo might look very different, and so on. So let's tackle some of the most common questions we had prior to the first Rundisney races back. First question was, will there be characters on the course like before? So Rundisney had a return to in-person racing document that made it sound like characters were iffy at best. It was going to be a game time decision. And with the Wine and Dine 5K, it looked like all we would get were empty backdrops. However, that was because of the pouring rain. There were quite a few characters out on the course, but due to the conditions, they couldn't be out. Meaning, yes, there will be characters, bands, and other entertainment out on course, and it seemed like it would be almost the same as it was before. The only real difference was a small physical barrier, like a row of plants or a small fence that kept the runner at a distance from the character. So no, we can't go up and high five or hug them, but we are close enough to get pictures. What are these starting groups? When the Rundisney website and the digital event guide released, we saw the vernacular change from corrals to starting groups. However, in the end, the function was almost identical between the two. I will say though that there were some changes to what we might be used to. Past events had 6 to 10 corral groups for the 10K and the half marathons, depending on the event weekends. These used to be given a letter designation A through F, for example, for Wine and Dine, where there were only 4 start groups for the Wine and Dine 2021 10K and half marathon. The fenced off area for each of these start groups was very large though, and it allowed for a lot of room if you wanted it. Now, like with the corrals, the start groups were broken up into mini waves. They were kind of chopped up along the line. And there were somewhere between 20 and 30 of these smaller groups that would go off one at a time. So what does that actually mean? It really means nothing has changed in terms of how many people are going off the start line at once. It has the same basic feel as the corral system. However, we couldn't quite figure out how the corrals were really broken up. My guess, and it is just a guess, you guys, I have no idea if this is true, that those who submitted a proof of time, and those requirements have become much faster than previously, those folks were placed in group 1. As far as we could guess, Club Rundisney and perhaps some charity runners were placed in group 2. Those that approximated their times otherwise were in groups 3 and 4. I was in group 3 after submitting a possible finish time of 2:15 for the half. What is the check-in pass for the Health and Fitness Expo? This is basically replacing the old paper waiver system. It used to be that you would print out and sign your waiver either at home or on site. Instead, you sign your waiver online through your Rundisney registration account. Now, what happens is that you will receive an email to digitally sign your waiver. Once you do that, you will later receive your check-in pass. You can print this out or you can save a screenshot on your phone. This is what you will use to pick up your bib. Now, as far as I could tell, it didn't really make things much easier, but it probably streamlined the process for the volunteers and staff, and it definitely reduces paper waste. If you are participating in an upcoming event, keep an eye on your email inbox for more information. If you are a Rundisney veteran, you might remember the I Did It backdrops. Those are still out there in the parking lot. However, they have moved outside of the finisher chute past gear check. This move was sort of strange to me at first. However, I think that is so the multi-day challengers can gear check their previously earned medals for that weekend without backtracking up the finisher chute to get their I Did It shot. Moving it outside of gear check allows for more traffic flow and room. However, there were far fewer spaces for these PhotoPass stops. Prior to 2021, they would have 10, maybe 12 or more of these set up for quick moving lines. However, for Wine and Dine, there were only 4 to maybe 6 of them. The lines were long and it was in a very congested area. Hopefully they will move them and increase the number of photographers available. A couple of other things to keep in mind. As of Wine and Dine, masks were still required indoors and on all buses. If you ditch or lose your mask along the way, you may need another one prior to boarding your bus back to your resort. Now, this was an oversight on Rundisney's part for the 5K, but later on they figured it out. They did have masks available in case you lost one when you boarded the bus. While we don't know what mask mandates at Disney will look like by January or beyond, it's still a good thing to remember. But that is all I can think of for right now. These were the lessons we learned and our takeaways from Wine and Dine 2021 as we return to Run Disney races. As soon as the digital event guide drops, you will see that breakdown and a course map breakdown as well. Those will be 2 separate videos. They will be right here on Runners Without Limits TV. So please subscribe so you don't miss that. But what do you think? Were you at Wine and Dine and do you have anything to add? Or are you headed to a future Run Disney event and have more questions? Please leave all of that in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and until next time, remember that you are a runner without limits. Happy running.